Here are 3 reasons why to subscribe to Fringe Financials on YouTube. Number 1, it is free, which is the best price that you can pay for this kind of content. 2, I am completely transparent with all of my investments. And number 3, I have a variety of educational videos every single week. Now let's get on with the video. What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another Fringe Financials video. In today's video, we talk the potential or possible ban of TikTok and what it means for the economy and for big tech stocks. If you're excited for today's video, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, and make sure to turn on the bell notifications for all future uploads. As you might have already known, I posted a video quite some time ago about TikTok teaching tax fraud. There was an article on Yahoo Finance, and we went into a little bit more about how TikTok has these creators and influencers that are teaching ways to avoid taxes that are not legal. And now that one came out, that video was posted. I made that video, I think, a little over a week ago, if not maybe 2 weeks ago. And now they have a bill going up for TikTok to be banned in the United States. So we're going to analyze it. We're going to look at what, financial analysts are talking about, look at some data behind it, and just kind of talk it out and just see what's going on here. So let's talk about it, right? So with its Senate's pass still unclear, Deepwater Management's Gene Munster said Friday that he sees a 50% chance that nothing will happen to TikTok, a 25% chance the app will be sold, and a 25% chance that it will be banned. Munster thinks that if TikTok is either banned or divested, Chinese leadership will argue U.S. tech companies are using their products to spy on the Chinese, something that could spark retaliatory efforts against U.S. companies. And what people need to think about and understand, and yes, I'm someone who doesn't really use TikTok very frequently. I went on that whole rant about how they took down my video about spamming when it wasn't even, or scamming I should say, and it wasn't even scamming. But the impact of this between the U.S. and the Chinese governments could potentially be a huge impact, whether people know it or not. And again, he talks about these important points here. 23% of Tesla's revenue comes from China. Almost a quarter of Tesla's revenue is from China. 18% is from Apple, and 8% is from chip giant Nvidia. Now, we also know that Nvidia was having to work around all of the rules and regulations with selling their chips over in China and everything else like that recently. We saw how that had somewhat of an impact on the Nvidia stock as before. Now it's at all-time highs, of course, which is a whole different scenario. But, you have these big tech companies, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, who have quite a decent share in their revenue over in China. And the U.S. is thinking about trying to get rid of this Chinese tech company, and which could potentially even hurt China's economy. And, what could happen as a result of that is that there could be some retaliation, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So Munster noted historically that Chinese leadership has largely supported Apple products. Definitely true. Over the past 8 years, despite tensions between the U.S. and China, still he believes there will likely be modest pressure on China iPhone sales and Tesla sales numbers if the bill becomes a law. Again, will this be temporary? Will it be permanent? Obviously, it probably wouldn't be permanent, but we could see some impact in these heavy tech companies. And the thing to consider even more at a broader level is that if these tech companies start taking these hits, these tech companies have a pretty decent weight on the major indices of the U.S. stock market. Nvidia had a blowout earnings day, and it shot up like 18%, and then the S&P 500 was up 2%. And just to understand how the weighing works, Meta previously had a killer earnings, and the S&P 500 was up like 1% the day after that. So Nvidia especially has a huge weight on the S&P 500 right now. Apple definitely, Tesla definitely with the NASDAQ and everything else. These bigger tech companies, we get any kind of restrictions from China now about our products over there, and we could have some decent pressure that could definitely pull back this market quite a bit, which I don't think people really understand as much for that one. Wedbush's Dan Ives has echoed a similar impression, noting potential retaliatory actions China could head towards the likes of Apple and Tesla and U.S. big tech. though he said that a potential retaliation would likely impact Apple and Tesla the most, particularly as both companies' sales have been struggling in the country lately. He also sees a 25% chance that TikTok will get banned. Issues with the bill. Now, this is definitely something to really think about because everybody that's on TikTok, that's a big supporter of TikTok, even my students that I teach at the high school are just like, why is it getting banned? Like, what's the point of it? And there are a couple good points being made here. So, efforts to ban TikTok have faced harsh criticism in the past as other social media platforms collect and share the same data that TikTok collects. Some, including X, formerly Twitter, collect more, which is interesting. You know, you have other social media platforms. I know that Meta went into some lawsuit, not too long ago about their sharing of data privacies and everything else. Twitter, or X now, is collecting more data than TikTok. And there's never been a bill to ban them or anything else. They just get hit with a lawsuit. They get hit with a fine. They pay the fine. They move on. And whatever happens after that is whatever. But, it's interesting that TikTok is facing this ban from this bill, but we have other social media companies that are doing the same thing. That's the major argument I think a lot of people have, is that, like, just because TikTok's doing it doesn't mean that other social media apps aren't doing it, because they are. Critics have argued that foreign adversaries, including China, could simply purchase this data through data brokers, making a ban that targets TikTok alone unlikely to accomplish much in any way of real data security. Basically, even if you take down TikTok, people can just buy the data through data brokers. So that means I'm sure people are collecting data, and you're able to sell people's data online and everything else. If Congress really cares about the data abuse Americans are subject to because of surveillance capitalist business models, they should pass comprehensive privacy legislation that would stop all big tech companies from harvesting our data. All big tech, not just TikTok, not just Facebook, all the big tech, right? So this article goes into more and more about it. Again, a ban on TikTok could reduce the risk of one entity being coerced to disclose non-public private information with China, but the extent of that is readily available information on social media in general dwarfs that, in my opinion. If we want to have a real conversation about online data privacy and protection, we should do that across social media platforms, not just TikTok. Okay, and my argument also is that, say TikTok gets shut down, Instagram Reels has very, very similar ideas. Facebook has YouTube Shorts, same kind of idea, right? All collecting data, all having that kind of access to our data and everything else. Forbes talked about this as well. They had to offload their social media platform to an American owner, according to analysts. So who would buy it? I don't really know, to be honest. Perhaps the most significant impact of TikTok ban or force from that is the potential for Chinese government to retaliate against American firms' business activities in China. So again, they talk about also, this one talks about Apple as well. Meta has 10% of its advertising revenue was from Chinese discount retailers, and risks exist for Amazon as about half of their commerce third-party partners are from China. I think those are resellers and everything else, so a lot of people are reselling things on Amazon. Like, you can have your own affiliate program, stuff like that. And about half of the third-party partners are from China. Talk about Tesla, talk about Oracle as well, which Yahoo Finance didn't talk about. So another big tech company that has a lot of data, data storage provider of Oracle. Absolutely insane. However, Oracle's fair valuation would not be impacted as its data center business is high growth, more than makes up for the possible TikTok loss. On the positive note, this guy Crockett identified Instagram Reels' parent Meta, YouTube Shorts' parent Alphabet, and Spotify as potential winners of the roughly 10% of American advertising revenue currently captured by TikTok. Ives floated the potential for Apple, Oracle, or Microsoft to be in the mix as investors should TikTok's American operations do in fact change hands. So he's saying that it potentially could be bought from Apple, from Oracle, or from Microsoft. That would be interesting to see. If Microsoft picks up TikTok, or Oracle buys up TikTok, or Apple does. TikTok brought in $16 billion in U.S. sales last year. That's 3 times the U.S. revenue brought in by Spotify, 5 times the revenue the North American revenue from Snapchat, and 6 times U.S. sales ranked in by Twitter, now X, in 2021. Insanity. Again, TikTok is a huge platform. Like, it's not like this mom and pop thing. It is a huge platform that everybody's using. Digital revenue advertising behemoths Alphabet and Meta brought in $146 billion and $61 billion in their respective U.S. and U.S.-Canada regions last year. And here's a chart to show you that TikTok is looking like to be the third most revenue brought in across all the major social medias like Spotify, Snap, Twitter, all that. It's insane. Here's the big number. TikTok is valued apparently at $268 billion. That's almost the equivalent of Netflix, the world's most valuable entertainment-first company, but still a lot smaller than Google or Meta in this case. It'd be really interesting. And if you think about this also, there's a different article that I don't feel like pulling up right now about it, but they talk about how much money TikTok brings in for the overall U.S. economy and how much it impacts the economy, because a lot of local businesses rely on TikTok for their advertisements to push their products, to push sales and everything else, and how much it can impact the economy overall here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I just want to give you a little bit of insight about the potential TikTok ban going on here and what it could do to the economy, because it might actually impact our economy more than people think. So if you made this far in the video and you're not subscribed, please let me know in the comment section why you're not. And again, make sure you smash the thumbs up button as you always do. Thank you so much for all of your continued support. I hope you guys are still making money in the markets as usual, and I will see you guys in the next video.